you look at Riddick's speech pattern from the Holyfield Bowe era.
You underestimate my stamina, my punching power. You know, Bert Cooper knocked Evander Fell in the rope, I knocked him down.
To the Bowe-Golota era. It's totally different.
I mean, you look at it like this many times, man.
That voice belonged to a man who once stood at the top of the boxing world. Undisputed heavyweight champion, $80 million in career earnings. He had everything a fighter could want. That was until he lost his mind and reasoning. And the thing that destroyed him? It started long before he ever stepped into a professional ring. The fall from glory. Riddick Bowe stood at the top of the boxing world on November 13, 1992. He had just defeated Evander Holyfield to become the undisputed heavyweight champion. He was 25 years old. He had money, he had fame. He had everything a fighter could want. By 2005, he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy with debts exceeding $4.1 million. The mansions were gone. The cars were gone. The $80 million he earned throwing punches had vanished. He was driving trucks for mental peace and working as a bus driver to survive. Bowe grew up in Brooklyn's East New York neighborhood as the 12th of 13 children. His mother, Dorothy, worked midnight shifts at a plastics factory to keep the family fed. His father was absent. His brother, Henry, died from AIDS-related complications. His sister, Brenda, was stabbed to death by a drug addict during a robbery for her welfare check. Dead bodies on the streets were common. Boxing was his way out. He won 4 New York Golden Gloves titles and a silver medal at the 1988 Olympics. He turned professional in 1989 and climbed the heavyweight ranks with devastating power. His trainer, Eddie Futch, saw unparalleled potential in him. Then came Holyfield. The first fight was a war. Bowe landed 357 of 711 punches while weighing 235 pounds. The 10th round earned Ring Magazine's Round of the Year. He knocked Holyfield down in the 11th round and won by unanimous decision. He was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the last American to hold that title to this day. 1 month later, he threw the WBC belt in a trash can during a press conference. He refused to fight Lennox Lewis. His manager, Rock Newman, wanted a 90-10 purse split. Lewis refused. So Bowe dumped the belt and told Lewis to get it out of the garbage if he wanted it. That decision haunts boxing history. It fragmented the undisputed championship. It denied fans a super fight between 2 Olympic rivals, and Bowe later regretted it, calling it one of the biggest mistakes of his career. The rematch with Holyfield came in 1993. Bowe weighed 246 pounds, 11 pounds heavier than their first fight. A parachutist crashed into the ring during the 7th round. Bowe lost by majority decision. His weight and conditioning had failed him. They fought a 3rd time in 1995. Bowe knocked Holyfield out in the 8th round, the first knockout of Holyfield's career. Bowe won the trilogy 2-1. He should have been celebrated as one of the greatest heavyweights of his era. Instead, 1996 brought Andrew Golota twice. In the first fight, Golota dominated early but kept hitting Bowe below the belt. The referee disqualified Golota in the 7th round. A riot broke out. 9 spectators were injured, 8 police officers were hurt, 10 people were arrested. The rematch in December was worse. Golota was winning again but kept throwing low blows. Another disqualification. Another victory for Bowe on paper, but Bowe had absorbed nearly 300 power punches across both fights. After the second Golota fight, Bowe's speech in interviews was nearly incomprehensible. His manager, Rock Newman, noticed. Everyone noticed. At 29 years old, with a 40-1 record, Bowe retired.
If you look at Riddick's speech pattern from the Holyfield Bowe era to the Bowe-Golota era, it's totally different.
I mean, you look at it like this many times, man. Golota's someone, you know, fresh, he hasn't had as many fights, so therefore he don't get his time.
The difference in his speech from the Holyfield era to the Golota era told the whole story. Boxing had taken something from Riddick Bowe that he could never get back, but retirement did not bring peace. In 1997, he joined the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. He quit after somewhere between 3 and 11 days. He could not adapt to the discipline. In February 1998, Bowe pleaded guilty to interstate domestic violence. He served 17 months in federal prison. When he emerged from prison in 2004, the money was gone. The fame had faded. The brain damage remained. Doctors had diagnosed him with frontal lobe syndrome. His IQ tested at 79. His impulse control was impaired. The undisputed heavyweight champion of the world was driving trucks and trying to figure out how he had lost everything. The Brooklyn Crucible. The neighborhood that produced Riddick Bowe was not simply tough. It was a place where survival required daily negotiation with violence, poverty, and death. East New York and Brownsville in the 1970s and 1980s represented some of the most dangerous territory in America. The crack cocaine epidemic transformed communities that were already struggling into something far more desperate and deadly. Dorothy Bowe raised 13 children in this environment without a husband. She worked midnight shifts at a plastics factory for 22 years, producing plastic bottles on an assembly line while trying to keep her family alive. The Bowes moved constantly across Brooklyn, from Coney Island to Bushwick to Bedford-Stuyvesant to Brownsville, always chasing affordable housing in neighborhoods that most people tried desperately to escape. One address stands out in the family history. 250 Lott Avenue in Brownsville earned the nickname Gunsmoke City for the frequency of its shootings. Dead bodies on the streets were not unusual. Drug dealers controlled corners and stairwells. Dorothy enforced strict discipline to keep her children from becoming statistics. She used physical punishment when necessary. She insisted on school attendance and curfews. Bowe later described her approach with affection, calling it the soup bone method. Without that discipline, the streets would have claimed him the way they claimed so many others.
Well, a teacher brought a table about Muhammad Ali one day. Then you had them bullies and they be in the classroom. And one of them, he jumped out. "Oh, I don't like Ali. I like Joe Frazier better. I think Ali a faggot." And I ain't mean to say it, but this is what I said to him. "Man, you must be talking about your mama." Man, we fought for like an hour. The teacher ran out to get the police, get some help. But when they got back, the new champ was born. The champ is here. I beat him up and what have you.
That classroom fight over Muhammad Ali's honor marked a turning point. The boy who fought for an hour against a bully who disrespected his hero had discovered something about himself. He could fight. He was good at it. And fighting might be his ticket out of Brownsville.
So what year, well, how old were you when you first started going to the gym and actually started to formally box?
I was 13.
Okay. So at 13, you started boxing. Was this something that you were just a natural at, or did it take some time?
I was a natural because my brothers and sisters, I'm next to the youngest. They would take my candy, my pork chop, whatever they wanted, they would take. So therefore, I had learned to fight. And I was pretty good at it. But then when I started boxing, it was second nature to me.
The sibling competition had prepared him for the ring. Being the second youngest of 13 children meant fighting for everything, including food. By the time he walked into the Bedford-Stuyvesant Boxing Association gym at 13 years old, throwing punches already felt natural. But the family tragedies that shaped Bowe's emotional landscape were only beginning. His brother Daryl was stabbed in the chest in front of a fruit stand near their high school. He survived. Others in the family would not be so fortunate. Brenda Bowe was Riddick's favorite sister. Some accounts suggest they shared the same birthday, August 10th. She was his closest confidant in a family of 13. In 1988, just months before Riddick would compete for Olympic gold, a drug addict stabbed her multiple times during a robbery attempt. The attacker wanted her welfare check. She lingered in the hospital for about a week before dying. No one was ever arrested. The timing was devastating. Bowe was preparing for the Seoul Olympics, the biggest competition of his amateur career. The loss of his favorite sister made him sluggish during training, but thoughts of her also helped him refocus. He cried at her funeral and then channeled his grief into his fists. The tragedies compounded quickly. Henry Bowe, another brother, was diagnosed HIV positive around the same time Brenda was murdered. He had been in and out of jail for years. The exact source of his infection was never confirmed. Riddick lived with Henry during his decline. He witnessed the physical deterioration that AIDS inflicted during an era when the disease was essentially a death sentence. At one point, Henry threatened to bite one of his family members and take somebody with me. The desperation drove Riddick to move out for his own safety. Henry died several months after Riddick won his Olympic silver medal. Dorothy absorbed these losses with remarkable stoicism. Family members noted that they never saw her drop a tear in her life. That emotional toughness passed down to Riddick, who processed his grief privately rather than publicly. The emotional scars from these losses would manifest in complicated ways throughout Bowe's life. He named his first daughter Brenda in tribute to his murdered sister, but the trauma of his upbringing never fully healed. Bowe attended PS 396 in Brownsville alongside a young Mike Tyson, though the two were not particularly close. Each ran with different crews. Each found boxing as an escape. Each would become heavyweight champion of the world. And each would experience personal destruction that fame and money could not prevent.
Well, you and Mike Tyson were in the same 6th grade class, but I guess you guys didn't actually know each other.
Yeah, we knew each other.
Okay, but you weren't close.
No, he hung out with his crew and I hung out with my crew.
By 1985, he was the #1 light heavyweight in the United States at just 18 years old. The Golden Gloves titles accumulated. The international competitions began. Russia, Poland, Italy. The kid from Brownsville saw places he never imagined seeing.
So once you actually started doing Golden Gloves and competing, how was that?
Oh, I loved it because I had a chance to leave New York State. I mean, I saw places I never would see. Russia, Poland, Italy. I went all over the world boxing.
Boxing gave Riddick Bowe everything his childhood had denied him: travel, recognition, hope. But it would also take things from him that could never be replaced: the championship years and their costs. The professional career of Riddick Bowe began on March 6, 1989, with a second-round knockout of Lionel Butler. From that first victory, Bowe accumulated knockouts with frightening efficiency. His physical gifts were obvious to everyone who watched him fight. Standing 6 feet 5 inches tall with an 81-inch reach, he combined size with speed and power in ways that overwhelmed opponents. Legendary trainer Eddie Futch took him under his guidance and saw a fighter who could dominate the heavyweight division for years. By 1992, Bowe had amassed a record of 31-0 with 27 knockouts. Names like Pinklon Thomas, Burt Cooper, Tyrell Biggs, Tony Tubbs, and Bruce Seldon fell before him. The November 13, 1992 showdown between Bowe and Holyfield at the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas remains one of the greatest heavyweight fights ever contested. Bowe entered the ring weighing 235 pounds against the smaller but more experienced Holyfield at 205 pounds. What followed was 12 rounds of brutal warfare that justified every bit of anticipation. The 10th round earned Ring Magazine's Round of the Year. Both fighters stood in the center of the ring and exchanged bombs. Bowe rocked Holyfield repeatedly. Holyfield refused to fall. Bowe dropped Holyfield in the 11th round. When the final bell rang, the scorecards read 117-110 twice and 115-112. Riddick Bowe had become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Evander Holyfield later reflected on what went wrong in that first fight. The two had history that extended back to Bowe's amateur days.
So when I lose that fight, I realized, I said, man, Bowe used to be my sparring partner when he was an amateur. Mm-hmm. He was amateur, he was good.
Yeah.
He used to be my sparring partner, and I helped him out with his little son and all this, because I had money and stuff like this, and I was just real good. But me and Bowe were just real good friends. We talked about everything. Then all of a sudden,
you got to fight him.
The friendship between the two fighters had given Bowe intimate knowledge of Holyfield's weaknesses, and before the first bell rang, Bowe delivered a message that revealed just how confident he was.
He come up to me when the fight get ready to start, and he said, "Let me tell you something. If you don't run, I'll knock you out."
The victory should have launched a golden era for Bowe. Instead, the controversy began almost immediately. On December 14, 1992, just 1 month after becoming undisputed champion, Bowe threw the WBC belt into a trash can during a press conference in London. The mandatory challenger for that belt was Lennox Lewis, the man who had stopped Bowe in the 1988 Olympic final. The purse negotiations had collapsed. When no agreement could be reached, Bowe declared that if Lewis wanted the belt, he would have to get it out of the garbage. He called Lewis a garbage picker. The decision fragmented the undisputed heavyweight championship for years. It denied fans what could have been one of the defining rivalries of the 1990s. Bowe later expressed regret over the decision. Bowe defended his remaining titles against Michael Dokes and Jesse Ferguson, winning both fights. But the rematch with Holyfield exposed troubling patterns. When they met again on November 6, 1993, Bowe weighed 246 pounds, 11 pounds heavier than their first encounter. The weight gain would become a recurring theme throughout his career. The second Holyfield fight also featured one of the strangest moments in boxing history. In the 7th round, a parachutist named James Miller, known as Fan Man, crashed into the ring. The surreal interruption caused a 21-minute delay. Holyfield rallied and won by majority decision. Bowe had lost his titles. The trilogy concluded on November 4, 1995. Bowe knocked Holyfield out in the 8th round, dropping him 3 times before the referee stopped the fight. It was the first knockout of Holyfield's career. Bowe had won the series 2-1.
As a heavyweight, one of the most accomplished heavyweights of all time, I feel like the battles you've had are complete wars. Like the Evander Holyfield fights are still watched today as just some of the most brutal, vicious, just all out wars. You guys just stood there and banged. Was that the best fighter you ever fought?
I would have to say so, but what you also need to know is that me and the family, we have a policy. Policy is if he keeps my name out of his mouth, I'm gonna keep my foot out of his ass. Like that one.
What the fuck?
You like that one, huh?
I like that one. Hey,
That's a good policy.
I'm gonna steal that. Can I borrow that?
Do your thing, baby.
All
Do
right,
your
I
thing.
appreciate that.
Well, was he talking loud to you before the fight?
No, he never talked loud to me.
He was
But
scared?
That's just our policy.
Was he scared of you? Is that why?
He knocked me down. How you gonna be scared of me? No, he ain't scared of me.
The policy Bowe describes reveals the mutual respect that developed through their brutal encounters. They beat each other half to death in the ring and emerged as friends outside of it. Between the Holyfield fights, Bowe knocked out Herbie Hyde in 1995 to win the WBO heavyweight title. He became the first heavyweight to hold all 4 major sanctioning body belts, though not simultaneously. Then came Andrew Golota. The first fight on July 11, 1996 at Madison Square Garden descended into chaos. Golota dominated the early rounds but kept hitting low. In the 7th round, the referee disqualified Golota. What happened next made headlines beyond the sports pages. Bowe's entourage swarmed the ring. Someone struck Golota with a walkie-talkie, requiring 11 stitches. Trainer Lou Duva collapsed with chest pains. A full-scale riot erupted. The December rematch followed the same script. Golota outboxed Bowe through the middle rounds. The low blows continued. Another disqualification came in the 9th round, but the punishment Bowe absorbed across both Golota fights was devastating. He took nearly 300 power punches in the 2 bouts combined. His slurred speech and post-fight interviews alarmed everyone who heard it. Manager Rock Newman presented Bowe with a health versus wealth chart and advised him to retire. At 29 years old, with a 40-1 record and millions in the bank, Riddick Bowe walked away from boxing. The decision was necessary. The damage was already done. The destruction of everything. The years following Bowe's retirement from boxing revealed the full extent of the damage he had sustained, both physical and psychological. What emerged was a portrait of a man struggling against forces he could not control, forces that had been set in motion by thousands of punches absorbed over a 15-year fighting career and by childhood trauma that had never properly healed. In 1997, Bowe attempted to join the United States Marine Corps Reserve. He lasted somewhere between 3 and 11 days. The rigidity of basic training proved impossible for him to accept. The failure embarrassed him publicly, but it also signaled something deeper about the impulse control issues that doctors would later diagnose. His marriage to Judy Gordon had been deteriorating for years. Judy moved the family to Cornelius, North Carolina in June 1997, initiating divorce proceedings that accused Bowe of physical abuse. He moved into his mother's basement in Maryland, spiraling into desperation. The kidnapping on February 25, 1998, represented the complete breakdown of whatever remained of Bowe's judgment. He drove from Maryland to North Carolina with his brother, Aaron Wright, armed with a buck knife, flashlight, pepper spray, duct tape, and handcuffs. He intercepted 3 of his children at their school bus stop. He confronted Judy at her home. According to court documents, he jabbed the knife into Judy's breast, drawing blood through her jacket. He slapped her. He threatened her life if she had a boyfriend. He forced the entire family into his Lincoln Navigator and drove 200 miles toward Virginia. Near South Hill, Virginia, they stopped at a McDonald's. Judy asked to use the restroom. She had a cell phone hidden in her clothing. From inside the bathroom, she called police. Officers detained Bowe shortly after. The federal indictment came on June 2, 1998, under 18 U.S.C. Section 2261A-2 for interstate domestic violence involving kidnapping and assault with bodily injury. 2 days later, Bowe pleaded guilty to a reduced charge. What followed was a legal battle over Bowe's mental capacity. Defense attorneys brought in experts who testified about the devastating effects of repeated head trauma on Bowe's brain function. Neurologist Dr. Richard Restak described depleted cerebral reserve that impaired rational thought and impulse control. Bowe's IQ was measured at 79. The diagnosis was frontal lobe syndrome. The repeated blows to the head had damaged the part of his brain responsible for judgment, planning, and emotional regulation. Judge Graham Mullen initially sentenced Bowe to just 30 days in community confinement on February 28 to 29, 2000, plus 4 years of probation. The judge cited diminished capacity. The government appealed. On July 13, 2001, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals vacated the sentence. The appeals court ruled that Bowe's actions clearly involved violence, they sent the case back for resentencing. On January 16, 2003, Bowe received an 18-month prison sentence plus 2 years of supervised release. He served 17 months at Cumberland Federal Correctional Institute, working for 12 cents an hour and losing 60 pounds. During the legal proceedings, a paternity test delivered another devastating blow. Riddick Bowe was not the biological father of his eldest son, Riddick Lamont Jr. The boy he had raised for 17 years was not his biological child. Bowe has spoken publicly about the betrayal he felt. The financial destruction paralleled the personal collapse. At his peak, Bowe owned up to 10 houses and 26 cars, including 3 Rolls-Royces. He flew on private planes. He stayed in fancy hotels. He gambled in high-end casinos. He bought his mother mink coats, diamonds, pearls, and her own Rolls-Royce. The spending was unsustainable. The divorce added costs. The legal battles drained resources. And Bowe has accused his former manager, Rock Newman, of stealing $15 million from him. On October 15, 2005, Bowe filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the United States Bankruptcy Court for the District of Maryland. He listed debts exceeding $4.1 million. The creditors included a Vienna, Virginia investment fund owed $3 million. The $80 million he had earned throwing punches was gone. The mansions were gone. The cars were gone. What remained was humble work. Bowe obtained his commercial driver's license and pursued trucking, expressing interest in starting Big Daddy's Trucking Company. He drove buses. He found unexpected peace in the routine. I was involved in trucking and I drove briefly. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the camaraderie of being able to go down the highway. I enjoy driving. It relaxes me, he explained. It helped my mind to be free with no worries. The undisputed heavyweight champion of the world had found mental freedom behind the wheel of a truck. The endless pursuit of what was lost. Retirement rarely holds for fighters who have known nothing but the ring since childhood. Riddick Bowe's post-prison years were marked by repeated attempts to recapture something that boxing had taken from him, whether that was glory, money, relevance, or simply the identity he had constructed around being a champion. In September 2004, just months after his release from federal prison, Bowe announced his comeback. He was 37 years old. He weighed somewhere between 253 and 271 pounds. Medical tests showed no evident active damage, clearing him to fight. His opponent was Marcus Rode, a journeyman with a middling record. Bowe knocked him out in the second round. The fight earned him $100,000 and convinced him that more was possible. In April 2005, he faced Billy Zumbrin in a 10-round bout. The fight went the distance. The judges scored it for a split decision in Bowe's favor. Against an obscure opponent who should have been dispatched easily, Bowe struggled for 10 rounds. His final professional boxing victory came on December 13, 2008, in Germany against Jean Pukal. He won by 8-round unanimous decision. He weighed 271 pounds. Observers described his performance as horrible. He was 41 years old. Critics condemned the comebacks as ill-advised and dangerous. Boxing writers ranked Bowe's return attempts among the worst comebacks in the sport's history. They pointed to his slurred speech, his ballooned weight, and the obvious risk of exacerbating brain trauma. But Bowe was not finished trying new combat sports. In June 2013, at 45 years old and weighing approximately 300 pounds, he debuted in Muay Thai in Pattaya, Thailand. His opponent was 30-year-old Russian fighter Levgen Golovin. It was a disaster. Golovin's leg kicks devastated Bowe, dropping him 5 times before the referee stopped the fight in the second round. He earned $150,000 for the humiliation. The aftermath was painful. Reports indicate that Bowe's legs remained damaged long after the fight. Friends like Bowe-Holyfield called the venture crazy.
You know, I'm gonna jab at him, then I'm gonna break his rib or two. Guys aren't going to his body. You let him stand strong, and as time progresses, he's keeping that posture, and you're not breaking him down. So you ain't busting his heart, you ain't stopping his liver and things of that nature. You gotta do the things that's gonna make him tired. They're not doing it.
Even after the Muay Thai debacle, Bowe continued discussing potential returns. In 2020, he announced plans for a 20-fight comeback at age 52. The WBC declared the plans bogus. In 2021, he announced a deal for a celebrity boxing exhibition. The event was eventually pulled. The pattern revealed something essential about Bowe's psychology. He could not let go of the identity that boxing had given him. Through it all, the signs of brain damage remained evident. Videos from 2024 and 2025 show noticeable changes in Bowe's speech patterns compared to his championship years. Bowe has reflected on his mistakes with unusual candor. His advice to current boxers reveals hard-won wisdom. Control your expenses and budget. Control your income and your outgoings. If you don't have a lot of income coming in, then be more conservative. Learn to not overspend. Don't try to impress others. Be yourself and live, he has counseled. On the parasites who surround wealthy athletes, Bowe has been equally direct. Usually a lot of fighters are taken advantage of by folks who are just there for the fame and fortune. 99% of the so-called financial experts have zero experience. They don't even have $1,000 to their name. His family relationships remain fractured. He has spoken about being estranged from his mother and siblings. They don't love me. They can't love me, he has said. The one relationship from his boxing career that has endured is his friendship with Holyfield. The two men who tried to destroy each other across 32 brutal rounds have maintained bonds that transcend their rivalry. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.